Hi guys, this is Ajay and welcome to the video number 222. In this video we are going to talk about the for next, and this time it is going to be a little different because I have received actually a question from subscriber, and this video is going to talk about two things. One is how to make your for next dynamic and how to find the last row in your VBA. This is a very important, very useful code, and this is very simple as well, right? So I'm going to talk about now this basically let me just read out the question for you. So I have received this question from Jatin, and Jatin says that, hi Ajay, first of all congratulations for such a great tutorials on loops. Thank you so much, Jatin. I have a question, and it is how to run the for next loop without writing constant. I want to run the loop according to the values I have in my column A. So instead of I equals to 1 to 10, it should be on the auto mode. Well, that is very simple. I got your basically the question, and it is really very going to be, going to be useful. At the same time, it is very easy as well, Jatin. So we're just going to start it. I'm working on a project and I'm a fresher in VBA. I'm taking a lot of help from all your videos and looking forward to this one as well. Kudos to your channel and work, your subscribers, Jatin. All right, so Jatin has emailed me. Thank you so much for your appreciation and at the same time for your question. So in this, before I just go ahead and start this, I just want to give you an update. If you're watching my channel for the first time, this is basically the playlist where you can watch all those 221 videos, and they are on Excel. They are on Excel VBA, Access VBA, and you can go through all these playlists and you can find it out, whatever exactly the kind of the code you're looking forward to. Just you can scroll it down and you see that we have actually bifurcated. We have given all the different categories here, right? So here I have recently started our actually series on the loops, right? I think 2 days back or 3 days back we have started this based on the request from many of you, and these are must watch videos. If you are new to the channel, if you're new to the VBA, just go and watch these videos, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 and part 5, right? So we have all the videos here, and in fact there's a part 7 as well, right? So we have covered so far, guys, 3 loops, three the major loops basically. One is the for loop, and the another is do loop, and the third one is do until loop. So basically let me just write it down here. This bug just distracted me actually. Let me just click on the apply action. Irritating, yeah. All right, so this is the for next loop which we have done, and then we have done the do while loop as well, and recently I uploaded the video on do until as well, right? So in this video now what we are actually going to do is, so subscribers says that if you know that how to run the for next loop, then basically what happens, suppose you have here numbers. I'll just again give you a very basic example. Now the problem is this: let's say you want to run this loop 7 times based on these values, right? As he said in the question also that he's working on some project and he is required to run this loop. So instead of writing this 1 to 10, he wants to make it dynamic. So how many values I have in the column A, based on that the loop should run, right? So what we are going to do is, first of all, let us just quickly write this for next loop. So here we go. I'm going to write sub. Let me just name it anything, D. All right, so now here I'm going to write dim I as long. Now I'm not going to explain you anything on this, the basic part, because if you want to got the understanding, if you want to know what exactly it is for next, then please go ahead and watch all those part 1, part 2, part 3, and all the videos. You will understand. They have explained it in a very detailed manner. Now the point is, whenever you run this for loop, so what happens, let's say you want to run this loop 7 times. Okay, and in the 7 times what you want to do is, let's say you want to get the messages. Okay, you want to get the messages, you want to get all these messages one by one. Let's say this is what exactly you want to do. So I'm going to be here, going to write here cells, and the row number. For the row index I'm going to write here I, and for the column it is going to be 1 dot value. So let's say I have simply written this loop called the message box, right? And we have used this code a lot many times also. Now guys, it's very simple. You see that this I stands for basically the row number and 1 stands for the column number. So it means that the first time when this loop is going to run, what you will get in the message box. Let us just run it. Now here we go. Now you see that the value in the I is 1, and let me just put the watch on this so that we can have a look. Now you see that I is 1, so that means we have one row and one column, which means that I am on the cell called A1. A cell which has a row number 1 and a column number 1, obviously it is going to be A1 cell. So it is going to populate the value, whatever the value we have in the A1. Perfect, right? The next time again the loop will run, because we have said that the loop is supposed to run 7 times. Now this is going to run the second time. As you can see in the watch, the I is changed to 2. So that means now we are on the row number 2 and the column 1. Obviously a combination of row number 2 and column number 1 will make us on a cell called A2, which is this cell, right? So obviously the value would be 55. So you keep on running this code, and every time it will run, you will have a different value, right? I think this is clear. This is very easy. We have made these codes, in the previous videos. So really I don't think so I have to elaborate much on that. But the idea is here. Now you see that the loop is finished because the value of the I is 8, which is exceeded, right? So now what we want to do now the subscriber actually is looking to make this loop on the auto mode. So this 7 has to be changed, because if in future you have some more values, let's say these values, then ultimately if you, let's say you are going to retrieve these values, right? I'm just giving you a hypothetical situation. Now in this situation what will happen? Again the loop will run only 7 times. So if I press F5, you see that I will quickly get all these values: 55, 36, 88, and that's it. 84, 77, 35, they are not going to come. Reason is because you have not increased this 7 to 10. Obviously because you have your values, 10 values in the column A. So if you want to access all the values one by one, then obviously if you are working on the for next loop, then you will have to making sure that the loop should run these many times, as many times as you actually have a value in your column A. And this is exactly he has written that he wants to automate it. So now the thing is, because every time as a developer you can't go in this code, right? You can't go in this code, and definitely I understand that you cannot edit it, right? And maybe if you can edit it, but let's say if you're not in office and maybe somebody else is running this loop in your absence as a backup, and that person doesn't really know Excel VBA so well, so in that case it will be a big time problem. And if I talk on the reality, as a reality, when you work in MIS, when you work in Excel, actually when you make the programs, you really don't actually like to use these constants. 1 is fine, because everybody know that generally when the loop runs, it always, most of 99% of the cases it always starts with 1. But how to make this thing dynamic? So what you have asked is absolutely, it's a very practical question, right? I was about to cover this video, but in the mid, I'm happy that you have raised this point, and so today I'm actually uploading the video. Now guys, how to make this dynamic? It's very simple. We are going to declare here any variable. You can name it like last row as well, let's say, and obviously we will have to declare that as well. Now you see, before I go further, I simply want to tell you that what we are going to do. Now it is very simple. If you somehow can find out that what is the last value in this column A, you will be able to find the last row, because we have a code called active cell dot row. This VBA syntax always returns a number. A number means a row number, right? Now how to go to the last cell? This is the important thing. Now again, it is very important. It is very easy. You can simply use the control down arrow command, right? So control down arrow, what it does, right? You can go ahead and watch my Excel shortcut series as well. There is a playlist which I have created by the name of Excel shortcut keys, and there we have uploaded 3 videos, and I have talked about, I think, almost 25 to 30 shortcut keys over there. So but I will explain to understand this. Now I'm on the A1, and if I press control down arrow, you see that what is happening, I'm immediately going to the last cell, right? So to go to the last cell, you first go to the A1 cell, and you can from there press the control down arrow, okay, and you will be on the last row. That's it. So what you can do here is, first of all, you should be on the sheet 1. So I'm going to write the sheet 1, sheet name, okay. So I select the sheet, and then I go to the A1. This is very important. You should be on the A1. to find the last row, right? Because if you're on the C1, let's say, and you press control down arrow, it is going to take you to the last row, which is 10 lakh, and obviously it doesn't make any sense for you, because you need to run the loop based on the values in the column A and not in any other column. And that is why, you know, I'm saying that you got to be on the cell A1, right? Now once you are on the A1, this is how, you know, you can write the code. Now before I write the code, and before I tell you what exactly the code is, you know, because as a beginner it may be a little difficult for you to understand, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you that how to take the help of the Excel macro editor. Don't really have to remember these codes. When I actually learned the VBA, I remember I used to, you know, take a lot of help from the macro editor. Now if you don't know what is a macro editor, you go to the developer tab, and here, you know, record the macro. I'm sure you must be familiar with this, how to record the macro. So this is also called the macro editor. Now here I'm going to simply record the macro. Let's just click on the macro name. I'm going to give it to be deleted, because we will not like to keep this. So I will delete it, and just keep this store macro in this workbook. By default this should be your option. If you have any other option selected, personal macro workbook, new workbook, please ensure that it should be this workbook. Click OK, and now the macro, you see that it has started recording. So go to the A1, and from here press the shortcut key. I'm going to press the shortcut key, control down arrow, and there we go. Right now this is done. Now I'm going to stop the recording. Recording stopped. Perfect. Let's go to the Visual Basic. Let me hit on the Visual Basic and look at this module 2 which is created. Now this is the code which is generated, and this is exactly the code which is going to take you to the last row. So first we select A1, and from the A1 that becomes your selection dot end Excel down dot select, right? So this is what exactly I was about to write here, selection dot end and Excel down dot select, right? Now if I run this code, let me press F8 to run it. You see that it takes me to the A1, and this code is going to take me to the last row, which is the, you know, to go to the last row. Basically last row means that where you have a value, where you have a last value, the filled value, there should be no space, right? So now what happened, once you get on this cell, then let me reset the code. Then we will say that the variable which we have declared as last row, it should be equals to active cell dot row, because what is your active cell now? It is A10, and what is the row number for the A10? Obviously it is 10. So how you are going to retrieve that value? Using this line, active cell dot row, and the same then variable we can use it here, right? So now let's quickly run this and have a look. We got on the last row, and from here the last row comes as 10. So now we are saying that for I equals to 1 to 10. So what will happen eventually, when you press F5, you will have all the values. Let me quickly press enter. There we go. You can see that 84 is coming, 77 is coming, and 35 is coming, and that's it, right? If I add something, so you know, some more values here, let's say these are the values I have added. Okay, now let's just run it. I'm going to quickly run it. F5, there we go. 44, 55, you can see that all the values. Let me run it fast. Ajay, Alan, Matt, Sriraj, and you know, everything is done, everything is covered, right? Now in this case I'm going to tell you two more things, because this is very, I mean, if you know this, very good. If you do not know this, then obviously you have learned something, but I'm also going to give you some additional knowledge here, additional, you know, one more, you know, which can actually shorten your code. Now instead of writing these two lines, that first it goes to the A1 cell, and then from the A1 it uses the control, you know, down arrow, why don't we just merge it? So you can do that. So simply just, you can also write like this, range A1 dot end Excel down. You can see that, select. All right, so now you don't need these two lines. Let me just comment them out, right? Apostrophe, putting the apostrophe in front of the line means that VB is not going to consider that. Now this is also very easy. You are directly saying that from the range A1, just use the control down arrow, right? And in this way, you know, you can use the code. So let me just quickly press F5, and you can see here that I have got all the values here. All right, so this is working. This is working really cool. Now, one more thing I want to tell you here, which is very important. Sometimes what happens in your data, you have some blank cells. Though this is not exactly, I mean, Jatin has asked, but I think because he has asked this thing, so the next time again he writes me an email, it's better, I can discuss it, this issue in advance with all of you. Now what happens, sometimes you have the blank rows in your data, for example, like this, and still you want to run the loop. And you want to cover all the values, so which means that if you're going to run the for next loop, it should access all the values till here. But then if you use the control down arrow, it will stop here, because after this there is a blank. How to overcome this kind of a challenge, right? Let me show you practically. Now you see that the moment you're going to run this loop, look at this, it comes to the 33 from the A1. Why? Because the next cell is blank. So for VBA, VBA doesn't know that you have some more values also after the blank cell. So your last row would come as 4. So if it is 4, then that means your loop is going to run 4 times. And if it is going to run 4 times, we will have a problem. The loop stops here. Now what to do? Now, instead of going from the top, why don't you go from the bottom? Isn't it? You know that in Excel, it is not possible for anyone to, fill up this much of data, that they should be on the 10,48,000, because if you have this much of data, sorry to say, Excel will crash, right? That is why people switch over to the other applications like Access, and there is another SQL Server as well. Though now they have launched the Power Pivot, in 2010, I mean, they have launched it, but then in 2013 also it is coming by default with the Excel. So Power Pivot is something is very useful, and it can work on the millions, trillions of the data very easily. But let's talk about the practical situation where everybody doesn't know really the Power Pivot, and moreover, you don't even have this much of data in Excel. You don't really like to keep this much of data. So from here, why don't we use the control up arrow? So because if I use the control up arrow, obviously it will go to the last row where you have a value, and then it really doesn't matter how many cells you have in the blank, how many blank cells you have in the mid, right? Because if I write, let's say 44, and I come to the 8 and lakh, and I use the control up arrow, obviously it will take me to the 18. So this is what exactly I'm going to do. So your entire code remains as it is. The only thing which you need to do is this a1.end. Let me just copy this and paste it here. Now here what I'm going to do, instead of this A1, I'm going to be on the 10 lakh. Alright, and from the 10 lakh, I'm going to be, let me just use the up arrow. You see, Excel up. I hate this. Excel up. Now select. Now what will happen, this will select the row of the last cell. Okay, let's give it a try. Now look at this. From the 8 and lakh, it is going to move up, and you will automatically see your cursor here. You should see if the code is correct, and there we go, guys. Look at this, right? And then the last row is going to be captured, and now we can have loop this. We can have this loop run for 18 times, right? So this is a great thing. This is a great tip, I would say. I mean, because a lot of guys struggle in this. So this is very simple. And moreover, I also want to tell you one more thing. You can also do one thing. Instead of declaring here dot select and everything, you can also write like this: last underscore row equals to, and this, and instead of selecting the cell, why don't we just get the row number of that, the last cell? So let me just comment out everything. So now you have a simple line here. Let's have a run, and you see that it's working, right? You got the 18, and now the loop is supposed to run 18 times, right? So this is also, it is all about the experience. As you take a deep dive into the VBA, as you do a practice, the more things you write, the more practice you do, you get to have all these kind of experiences, right? And now I can further shorten this code before I wrap up this video. Why don't we simply just delete this variable? What is the need of declaring this variable? I can simply remove it, right? Because ultimately I need a number which should give me the last row. So why don't we just simply cut this and put it here? That's it. Because this line is also going to give you the row number, and this is what exactly we need, right? So if I press F8, have a look at this. It's giving you equals to 18. Do you see that? right? So I is going to run now 1 to 18 times. Let me just quickly press F5, and there we go. You can see here that all the cells, all the values are coming. Blank is for the 0 because we have a lot of blank cells, and there we go, and there we go, and there we go. That's it, right? So let me just maximize this code and you can have a look on it, right? So that's it. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you have the link there just on the bottom corner. Be a part of this awesome learning, and we have uploaded so far 222 amazing videos on Excel VBA, MS Access and MS Access VBA, guys. And I will be back again with some more interesting stuff just to make you awesome. Until then, you take care of yourself and have a very, very great learning. Thank you so much. Bye bye.